Hey guys, it's your boy, Ballface8020, back again with another great commentary. This is something that has been, I don't know if I want to say been on my mind. Well, yeah, it's been on my mind for a while more recently because it's more topical. But this is something I've always strongly believed, going back to like 2008, you know. So I guess not always, but since then. Is this idea, this completely phantom threat from Islam. And then, I'm assuming, I think that most of my viewers are going to agree with what I'm about to say. And I think most people agree with what I say. It's not like, so I'm not really offering what I think is like some major hot take here. It's just that there's so many people who I see who are politically aligned with me who seem to buy into or promote this nonsense about Islam is being a threat to the West or whatever. And I think the first thing that I have to say, right, is that nothing I say should be taken as an endorsement of Islam or of Muslims. Okay, I don't give a shit about. I know a little bit about the faith, not too much, and as for Muslims, I don't have anything. I don't know. I wouldn't. I definitely wouldn't call myself pro-Muslim. I'm not sure like what I'm allowed to say on YouTube, but I'm definitely not an Islamophile or anything like that. So I've got in that sense I've got no dog in it, no dog in this fight. I made a video like a year ago, year and a half, I don't remember, with a trollish title, Defending Mass Islamic Immigration. And I got some people giving me shit about that. And I don't know if maybe they just read the title and then downvoted or left the comment complaining. And in which case I guess I have nobody to blame but myself, when you make a title like that. Because I don't see how anybody could disagree with what I said in that video. So anyway, I don't know, but I'm hearing more of it now. This idea that Islam is a threat, and I guess what's made it so much more topical, right, is because of the divide on the right over the Israel stuff. And so you've got some people saying that Jews or Israel are the threat, and other people are saying, no, Islam is the threat. It's like, well, look, I disagree with the anti-Israel people, okay? But, just because you disagree with it doesn't mean that you say that, oh, Islam or Muslims are a threat to the West, because it's pretty readily apparent that they're not. There was a time where Islam was a threat to the West. That time ended in the 16th century, so just like, and on top of that, I want to say, I think this is what it's about, right? This is like really what it's about, is that there is, and I want to say it's just something that's just inherent to like some Western cultures. Like there is a lot of people in the West who really just dislike Islam. And I don't mean that they dislike, a lot of them are like, they're not Islam, they don't have a problem even with Muslims per se. They're maybe not crazy about them, but they actually dislike the religion. And this is not new. Like this has been around, forever, since like the Crusades at least. And that's just, and it's fine. There's a lot of so you could say in a sense, Islamophobia is almost part of Western culture, traditional Western culture. But the issue isn't whether you like Islam or not. That's a completely different debate. The issue is whether Islam is a threat to the West. And no, it's not. And it hasn't been for centuries. Um, so the thing is though, because wanted to say like it's a Western thing. Like there's some, because I don't have this hostility to Islam. I don't care about the religion one way or the other. The only religion I really dislike is Buddhism, which is ironically one of the religions I probably know the most about because I read a lot of Buddhist stuff. But that's the only religion I dislike. Um, the but there's people in there's people in non-Western countries who just really don't like Islam. Like particularly like there's a lot of Asian countries who like they'll take small numbers of some, like Japan, which is restrictive on immigration in general. They'll allow a little bit of immigration though. What they won't allow is like any Islamic. They do not want Muslims in their country. And there's like a lot of places like that. They just don't want Muslims. And they don't like it. And I remember reading an article from, it was translated, or at least part of it was translated that I was reading from a Mexican paper in during when Trump first came on the scene, and he was obviously extremely unpopular in Mexico because he was attacking Mexican immigrants in the country of Mexico and saying he was going to force them to pay for a wall, shit like that. So they were, but there was some horrible terrorist attack in Paris, and then Trump said that we need to we need to ban Muslims from coming to the U.S. And there was a Mexican paper saying, well, like Trump sucks, but he's right about this. We need to not have, we can't have Muslims coming to Western countries. So a lot of people just don't like Islam. I'm not saying they necessarily like want to kill Islams. They don't want to like go on a crusade against them, but they don't want Muslims in their country, which is a different thing. Because, what I would tell you is whatever you think about Islamic immigration, it's not Muslims who are allowing it. You can blame whoever you want. What you can't blame is the Muslims themselves because they're not the ones letting the Muslims in. So that's a different issue then, right, is the whole Islamic immigration thing. But to me, even that is really problematic. And maybe because like the thing about saying Islam is a threat, like it's a distraction and it's not true. But at the end of the day, I don't really care. But for the thing like when you specifically single out Islamic immigration as a problem, like that always makes me wary because the implication is that non-Islamic immigration is okay. When actually Islamic immigration is the least damaging type of mass immigration there is because Muslims have a tendency to, stick together and become kind of a state within the state, which puts a lot of pressure on. Basically, it's incompatible with Western liberal democracy. So it's like Saul Alinsky rules for radicals. You push if we're going to have mass immigration, you want the mass immigration that's going to put the most pressure possible on civil society and just open liberal culture in general. Which, I mean, unfortunately, when you say that, there's always going to be idiots out there who think it's like, oh, you're saying we should have lots of Islamic immigration. No, we shouldn't have any Islamic immigration. It's just that if we are going to have a lot of immigration, it's better that it's Muslims than anybody else. Because, black non-Muslims are just going to assimilate into American blacks. And, that just makes the demographics of this country even more unfavorable to whites. And then, am I allowed to say that? And then I'm seriously asking because I don't know, because it seems like YouTube is like letting you say anything now, but you never know. And the Asians are honestly maybe the worst in that sense because it's like, because they do assimilate into white liberals, so you got like, so, so you're just getting them, you're just getting them stronger that way. And then Indians, I guess, are different. I know that like Indians are the group that everybody really loves to hate now. Um, yeah, I don't think there's any question that the least damaging immigrants are Latinos. And, the thing is, I got into this anti-immigrant, I'm sorry, I'm going so off topic now, but I got into this anti-immigrant stuff because I was worried about a Latino takeover. And now, dude, I'm so happy that we had decades of uncontrolled illegal immigration from Latin America because they're just going to assimilate and become white. And we need that to make up for all the non-assimilable non-whites who've been imported legally. And anyway, now we're getting back to my topic though. So that's how, like, because when you're saying, like, when I hear people like attacking Islamic immigration, it's like, okay, because you're feeling like this is like a politically correct or acceptable way to go after it, but it's it's really a dangerous thing because then you're going to get politicians who will appeal to you by saying, okay, we're going to stop Islamic immigration. Okay, good. That's a start. It's completely useless if you don't stop the other forms of immigration too. And it reminds me of going back to it, the whole illegal versus legal immigration thing. I came to realize pretty early, it's like even back when I thought illegal immigration was a really big problem, I was like, right, but I would always get really pissed at the people who are like, look, we're okay with legal immigrants. We just want to stop illegal immigration. No. Legal immigrants are way worse. The problem isn't illegal. The problem is immigrants. And there's no such thing as good and bad immigrants. They're all bad. I'm sure they're really good people individually, but we don't want large numbers of them, as I've said before. And then another thing is what they'll do is, you see this on the left, that like the left is really getting, like the more intelligent people on the left are saying stuff like, okay, well, let's have mass immigration, but only high skilled immigration, immigrants that are going to make us wealthier and stuff. Like, and then they do this shit in Canada, right? That's how they've done it in Canada, saying like, oh, okay, yeah, we're going to have really restrictive, we're going to have a lot of immigrants, but they're all going to be highly skilled, highly educated immigrants. And you see they're way worse than the unassimilable, uneducated immigrants. They cause, tons of social and problems over there. And they don't really benefit the economy as much as the people said they would, they benefit people who own, like, property in downtown Vancouver. But for, like, your average Joe Canadian, no, they've been a really bad thing, for Canadian society overall and, the economy too. So yeah, that's why I think, I think it's damaging. Ultimately it comes back to, like, basically when you like, there's certain things that just make me, like, just tune out, and I just basically can't listen to anything else you have to say. And saying anything about about an Islamic takeover is just, I just shut up. It's just like, it's so fucking crazy. And it's like, this is like a widespread phenomenon. Like, even got people now who would never say shit like this, like Tucker Carlson and Steve Bannon. Like, you can go back 10 years ago and they were talking about it, like saying like that there was some kind of Islamic threat to the West and like, or an Islamic takeover. And there's even a French novel called Soumission, where the guy writes about an Islamic takeover of France. And, it's just like, now, I haven't read the book, just the wiki of it. The way that I've read it, he did do it in a way that made it kind of like feasible. But basically what happens is, like, that guy who's running in New York, Mamdi, basically a guy like who's just like Mamdi, like, wins in what's obviously a rigged election. But he wins with the support of the establishment parties who are trying to keep the Front National out of power. And then it just slowly turns into an Islamic State with the cooperation of the establishment to prevent the far right or anti-immigrant right from taking over. So he did it in a way that like made it believable, but it's like, it gets me to like this, like one other thing is look, I have no interest in living under Islamic law or living not even under Islamic law because I don't think most countries even have Sharia law, but even just like living like as a non-Muslim in a Muslim majority or Muslim dominated country. I don't want that, obvious. I don't want that. I would take it over rule by the left. That's just me. Some people might disagree. I think that the standards of living would inevitably become lower, but I just can't stand liberals, and I just don't want to live under them. So like for me, that's another thing is when they talking about like a threat to the West. It's like even if that's true, like why would we want to defend the West? Like I mean, okay, maybe now it's worth it, maybe now, but like if we're not going to stop immigration, then it's better that the West just disappears anyway, right? Let the Muslims take over. At least we won't have to deal with, the other liberal nonsense that's around. But yeah, I mean, like if anybody disagrees, let me know because I don't see how you could disagree. Like I could see how somebody on the left would disagree with it, with what what I said. Like that's the thing, right? Islam may be a bit of a threat to not really, but it may be somewhat of a threat to the left. Islamic immigration, at least, is. The actual general Islam, now, I don't think, they're a threat to other Muslims, but that's about it. Yeah, that thing is like, if you're somebody who doesn't like LGBT and doesn't like or doesn't like inclusivity and just Western liberalism, then how exactly is Islam a threat? Yeah, like yes, it would be bad to live under it, but it wouldn't be nearly as bad as what we lived under when Obama was still in charge and what people in Western Europe still live to like now. Like especially like I don't understand at all how like the right wingers in Western Europe like are attacking Islam. It's like, wouldn't you rather live under Islam than under the governments you have in the UK or France or Germany? Like, to me, Islam would be way better than that. So, I'm hoping it's just for PR, but I don't know. That's all for now. See you in the next.